Let's talk about the 4-3-2-1 because this has been the best formation in FC24 for quite a while now, and for good reason. Using these custom tactics, you'll be solid in attack while not risking anything in defense. You'll be able to create tons of opportunities and have high scoring games. Honestly, on average I'm scoring 4 goals per game with this formation. Before we get to the formation, here's a quick word from our sponsor. This video is sponsored by Copa City, the first ever football tycoon game. Copa City gives you the full control of the match day experience. Build your urban space, set up fan zones, properly display official sponsors, and plan logistics to ensure that fans and teams arrive to the stadium on time. Copa City challenges you to create a seamless experience for fans. Copa City will be available on PC and console in 2025, and you can add Copa City to your Steam wishlist today by clicking the link in the description. Thank you to Copa City for sponsoring this video. Defensive style on balance. This is by far the best defensive style in the game. The rest of them just don't work the same, and some of them even hurt the way you play. So balance is by far the way to go here, which we want to keep this quite narrow, bring this down to 30. Depth, we're going to bring this up quite high, up to 68. Build up play. Now you can use long ball. Long ball doesn't really mean what you think it means in the traditional sense of football. Long ball basically means your players will make them runs forward, but for the general player, for most players, I recommend balanced. If you do want to try a long ball, you can see if it suits your playstyle, but for most people, and for myself, I use balanced. Chance creation on direct pass. A lot of people don't know what direct pass does. So direct pass will push your players forward when on the ball and force your opponent's defense to drop back. This makes it a lot easier to trap your opponents in their own half and sometimes in their own box. So even if your opponent does win the ball back, they'll be pushed fairly far back into their own half, making it incredibly difficult for them to get out. Which bring this down to 40. This is already a very narrow formation, but bringing the width down to 40 will bring your opponent's left and right back quite narrow, giving plenty of room for your left and right back to push up the pitch. And that's something you need to look out for in this formation. If your right back is on the ball, look for your left back, because they're more than likely going to be fairly open with loads of space, and you can easily generate an attack down that wing. Moving on to players in the box, you're going to leave that on 5. Corners and free kicks. Now bring these down to 1. From free kicks, you're probably going to shoot anyway, so there's no need to have any players forward for that. Corners, have this on 1. I've been scoring so many goals from playing my corners out short. Hold RB or R1 will call a player forward for the corner, pass it out, and then pass the ball to the edge of the box. From there, because you have your corners on 1, a lot of your players will be on the edge of the box waiting for the ball, and if you have the finesse playstyle plus, then this is the perfect opportunity to make the most out of that finesse playstyle plus. If you do take a corner normally where you just swing it across, it is very likely that you will be hit on the counter attack, but if you do just pass the corner out, normally the worst case scenario is you get another corner, which means more possession. I always like to think of a corner as a reset. You're passing the ball out, and once again your opponent's team are trapped within their own box again, and it's just a good chance for you to reset and generate an attack. Okay, with the player instructions, start with the left and right back. You want to have one of these on balanced and overlap, and the other on stay back while attacking and overlap. And remember what I said about how narrow your opponent's team will be because of your width. So look for your right back. In this case, my right back's the one that stays back and my left back goes forward. So I give the ball to my right back and play a long ball over to my left back, and all of a sudden he has all this space to work with. And that is just a great way to generate an attack out of nowhere and catch your opponent off guard. Into your center mids. Now you want to have 2 more defensive center mids and 1 attacking. I have Goretzka and Havertz here. I like to have the more defensive one in the middle. And even though Havertz has better defensive stats than Goretzka has better defensive playstyle pluses, so keep that in mind when you're picking who's going to be the most defensive. Look at playstyles and don't look at defensive stats. Goretzka has intercept plus, which for me is the best playstyle plus for a CDM in this game. So Goretzka takes that middle role and Havertz goes out on the left. And for both of them, you want to have them on stay back while attacking and cover center. For your right center mid, you want to have him completely unbalanced. For your right center centre mid, this will be more of a box-to-box player, have him completely unbalanced. I have Odegaard in this position. He has the finesse playstyle plus, which is something I really recommend if you can get a player in this position who's left-footed with the finesse playstyle plus, then that will work out very well for you. I also see other people put strikers and wingers in this position, so completely giving up on all defensive stats and putting a pure attacker in this role. It's not a bad idea. I personally rather a more well-rounded player in this position, so I go for Odegaard. If you do want to try a striker or a winger in this position, as I said, it's not bad. You can go for a see if it suits your playstyle, but personally I recommend someone like Odegaard, someone more well-rounded. And like I said, if you can get someone in this position with the finesse playstyle plus, then that would work incredibly. Now for your left centre mid, you want to have him on stay central and come back on defence. Having him on come back on defence is going to mean you're going to defend in a 4-4-2. So for my team, Odegaard will go into the right mid, Pele comes down to the left mid, and you are just flooding that midfield in a 4-4-2 formation for the defensive style. And when you do win the ball back, Pele will go forward, Odegaard will also go forward, and your left back will also push forward. So you are attacking with 5 different players. Also, what I always like to recommend for players to do when you're attacking mainly down the wings, so with your left back or one of your strikers, and you hit a wall and you can't really work anything out, instead of just crossing into the box and hoping for the best, always look for your midfielders. So in my team, Goretzka and Havertz will always be around the halfway line, available for the pass, normally unmarked. Give the ball back to them and let your attack completely reset. So instead of just crossing the ball in, losing the ball and getting hit on the counter, make sure to pass the ball to your midfielders around the halfway line and keep possession. When you are keeping the majority of possession, you are more than likely going to frustrate your opponent, and when players get frustrated, they make mistakes. And that's the one thing I really need to encourage. Make sure you are keeping possession, because if you are keeping possession, then the goals would just come naturally. Your striker, have him on stay central and get in behind. Remember we talked earlier about direct pass, about how direct pass will push your players forward, force your opponent's defense to fall back, giving you all the space. Well, having your striker set to get in behind is also going to help push your opponent's defense back. When your striker is trying to get in behind, your opponent's defense is naturally going to follow him, and that will give you all the space for your centre mids and your left back to run into. And when you do have the ball with your midfield, I do really encourage you just to play a direct ball straight into your striker. From there, he can easily give it to one of your centre forwards and you can generate a goal that way. And this will work out even better if you do have a midfielder who has the pinged pass playstyle plus, and that is another playstyle that I really recommend you have on at least one of your centre mids. Also, I really recommend you have a left-footed player on your right centre mid and a right-footed player as your left centre mid, and if you can get the finesse playstyle plus on either of these players or both, that would be perfect, because you'll find your left and right forward are always in that perfect position for a finesse shot. And speaking of your right forward, you want to have him also on stay central and get in behind. And that is everything for the custom tactics. If you do try these out, make sure to let me know in the comments how you found them, and let me know what formation to try next.